Chapter 3, gluten gone. What's up with gluten? Why is everyone hating on gluten these days? I love my bread and my cakes, and it's been a real challenge. So
You
tell
know,
us.
so it was so funny when I first started this because I think Wheat Belly came out maybe a couple months before my book. And then Grain Brain came out the year after, and Pain in the Grain, with Peter. I was like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when I first came out, you would think that I said, you know what, there's no Tooth Fairy, there's no Easter Bunny, there. People are like, what?
Burn
And
her at the stake.
so the issue with gluten, there's a couple issues. The first issue is that gluten is very different in the United States than it is in some of the other countries because of the way we've genetically engineered it. We've dwarfed it and concentrated it. So we've made it extra gluten-y.
Mhm.
And gluten, the big thing that does in the body is that it can loosen the tight junctions in the small intestine because it triggers the release of something called zonulin. And so that leaky gut we were talking about, gluten makes for leaky gut. So that's the first thing. It also can trigger autoimmune disease. So that's super scary. I know that you've talked with Tom O'Brien. I mean, he's the king of do not touch gluten with an autoimmune disease. It can also create leptin resistance, which makes you hungrier. So those three, and more insulin resistant. So those are the three problems specifically with gluten. And, when we think of gluten, we think, oh, bread and pasta. But the challenge is they put wheat flour on steak to make it taste better. They put wheat flour on French fries. So it's in all sorts of things
It's
you
in
wouldn't think
jams.
about.
It's in everything. It's in
Yeah,
shampoos.
mustard. I mean, it's so crazy. It's in so many things. So there's that issue. But the other problem is what we're doing to the wheat and the glyphosates. So, you kind of look at it and it's sort of the debate in the health community is it the gluten or is it the glyphosates? And it's like, well, it's all of the above, So we've got what gluten does to the body in terms of leptin resistance and the leaky gut and autoimmune triggers. But we also have the issues with it being sprayed by Roundup and the glyphosate on there, and that triggering a whole host of health problems too.
What I've heard is Eichhorn wheat, which is still
Yeah.
sort of called the heirloom wheat, cooked in a way where it's been fermented is actually the authentic way.
It's a totally different food.
Right.
Like
It's
if you
pre-digested, it's organic, it's the heirloom seed.
Einkorn wheat eaten as sourdough bread, where it has been fermented, it's easily digestible, is a completely different food than our hybridized wheat turned into flour and put on a French fry.
Absolutely.
And those are organic too. So they haven't been genetically engineered. They haven't been sprayed with chemicals. And they've also been fermented so that you drop the lectin and phytate load. So all of that, but that's not what people are eating.
No. And in fact, I've had arguments with people who've said, well, but I'm eating sourdough. You said to eat sourdough. Well, the challenge is that the breads that say sourdough are actually not using sourdough starters. They're again using fake chemicals, right? Just to create that sourdough texture. It's a chemical. It's made in a lab. It is not an authentic sourdough. So, fair warning, just because it says sourdough doesn't actually mean that it's your authentic sourdough. Now, in this chapter, are you also referring to removing gluten from other products, or is this primarily from your diet?
Well, your skin is a sieve. So you really don't want to be putting it on your, because it's in hair products and lotions and a lot of other stuff. So ideally, if you're putting it on your face, it's going into your body.
And faster, apparently, is what I've heard.
It's like you really want to look. I mean, the bottom line is you've got to look at everything that you're doing, all the household cleaning products. And that's not where you see it. Where you tend to see it is a lot of the hair care products have it, and a lot of the personal. So personal care is a big issue, and you do need to look at it.
There's some stat yesterday on a documentary I was watching that said that women put on 1,000 chemicals before they leave the house every morning. I was horrified. Horrified.
Wow.